You can get away with almost anything, except living with yourself. Dostoevsky doesn't open Crime and Punishment like a detective story. He opens it like a dare. Not, will he be caught? More like, if your conscience is the cop, where do you hide?
This story isn't about what happened. It's about the excuse that made it possible. Welcome to the Velvet Verdict. Let's open the case.
Here's what we're tracking. One theory, the extraordinary man idea, this clean little math problem where some people get special moral permissions. And we're going to watch the bill arrive, not as a moral lecture, as a body failing, a mind fracturing, an identity dissolving. Raskolnikov's first move isn't violence, it's vocabulary. He starts sorting humans into categories like he's organizing drawers. Ordinary people, extraordinary people. Ordinary people follow the rules. Extraordinary people write new ones. That idea is seductive for the same reason conspiracy theories are seductive. It gives messy life a clean diagram, and it gives you a starring role inside the diagram. And the book is careful here. It doesn't make him stupid, it makes him sharp, which is worse, because sharpness can become a weapon you point at your own doubt. He even admits the cowardice baked into it. All is in a man's hands, and he lets it all slip from cowardice. Track the trick. He's not saying, I'm afraid. He's saying, fear is for lesser people. That's not confidence. That's shame in a nice suit. A quick modern micro-example. Small, not dramatic. You know when you hurt someone and your brain immediately opens a spreadsheet? Reasons, context, technically I was right. That's moral math. It doesn't erase the damage. It just helps you sleep next to it. Self-correction, because it matters. This isn't intelligence causes evil. Plenty of smart people are gentle. This is something narrower and nastier. When intelligence becomes a permit, it stops being a tool. If the theory stayed theoretical, it might have worked. That's the joke. But reality refuses to be a thought experiment. Reality has weight and blood and timing. After the crime, the book doesn't just say he felt guilty. It shows a mind trying to outrun itself, like he's sprinting from a shadow that lives in his own skull. And this is where Dostoevsky gets almost mean with accuracy. Raskolnikov keeps trying to treat guilt like a logic error, something you can fix by thinking harder. But guilt isn't a math problem, it's a relationship problem between who you are and who you just proved you can be. His body reacts first. Fever, confusion, that half-dream state where your mind won't give you the courtesy of a clean lie. Dark humor moment because the book earns it. He wants to be Napoleon and immediately becomes a man who can't handle a doorbell. The bigger point, ideology promises control, but the first cost of control is usually isolation. Because when you build a private moral universe, you can't invite anyone in. This novel is a courtroom where nobody sits down. Everyone speaks. Everyone pushes. Everyone carries a different moral weather system into the room. This is where Bakhtin's idea helps, not as homework, just as a camera angle. Dostoevsky doesn't give us one authoritative voice that neatly explains the truth. He lets voices collide, and Raskolnikov can't find a quiet place to stand. Enter Porfiry, not a superhero detective, more like a man who understands how people lie to themselves. Porfiry doesn't chase evidence like a bloodhound. He chases the emotional shape of the lie, the pauses, the pride, the need to be seen as special. He keeps steering Raskolnikov back toward his own theory, politely, almost playfully, because pride is a great solvent. It melts silence. And Raskolnikov's resistance gets sophisticated, contempt as armor, intellectualization as anesthesia, sudden tenderness that feels strategic. Here's what makes it nasty. Sometimes we think we're arguing for truth, but we're really bargaining for comfort. Counter-reading. Because it's too easy to turn him into a cartoon villain. One way to read Raskolnikov is not as a monster, but as a person trying to escape humiliation. He's poor, cornered, furious at being nobody. But here's the catch. Humiliation doesn't force you to dehumanize someone. It just makes the temptation louder. Then we hit Sonia, and the temperature changes. Sonia isn't a simple symbol. She's a person living inside an impossible bargain, and that's why she can see through his. Raskolnikov doesn't just want forgiveness. He wants his theory to be admired. He wants someone to look at the wreckage and say, yes, worth it. Instead, he runs into something he can't argue with. Not a counter-theory, not a clever rebuttal, just a person who won't admire the lie. And eventually he says the line that exposes the fantasy underneath all the philosophy. I wanted to become a Napoleon. That is why I killed her. That's not a political statement. That's an identity confession. He didn't kill for money. He killed for a self.
Here's the cruel twist. Shame can become familiar. It can become a room you know how to live in, because leaving it would mean admitting you're not the person you promised yourself you'd be. And the book refuses the cheap version of confession, the version where you say it out loud and instantly feel clean. He confesses, but his mind doesn't applaud. It just stops running for a second. That's the first honest peace he gets. Not happiness, not redemption fireworks, just the end of the sprint. Now we have to talk about suffering, not in the inspirational poster way. Dostoevsky is not saying pain automatically makes you good. Pain also makes people bitter. Pain makes people cruel. Pain makes people smaller. So why does the novel keep circling it? In practice, it circles it by returning to the same evidence, the fever, the isolation, the way every ordinary interaction starts to feel contaminated. Because it's testing a question. Can suffering strip away the lies you used to survive? Or does it just add a new lie? I suffered, therefore I'm righteous. And Raskolnikov's extraordinary man theory finally meets its true opponent, not the law, not even God as an argument. The opponent is consequence, the quiet daily weight of what he did. There's a line that crystallizes the cost of trying to think your way out of being human. Pain and suffering are always inevitable for a large intelligence. Even that line can be a trap, by the way. It can become a glamorous story. I'm tortured because I'm special. But the novel keeps puncturing glamour. Suffering here isn't a medal. It's the price of refusing to tell the truth sooner. So what's the real punishment? It's this. Once you commit to a theory that makes you morally exempt, your mind has to do constant maintenance. It has to keep the mirror fogged. It has to keep the ledger balanced. It has to keep the voices quiet. But Dostoevsky doesn't let the mind win. He makes the lie expensive. And the exit, the non-slogan version, is smaller than we expect. Stop trying to be extraordinary. Not because greatness is evil, because extraordinary is often just a loophole with good branding. A truer sentence might be, I don't get special rules when I'm scared. If you read Crime and Punishment with that in mind, it stops being a story about a murderer. It becomes a story about the moment you realize your excuses are eating your life. Question for you. What's a belief you used as a permission slip, and what did it cost? Next time, we can follow a different Dostoevsky trick, how he turns a conversation into a trap.
If you recognized yourself in this case, leave a like. And if you want to be part of the next investigation, stay close.